नंदन व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Text 51 of chapter 6, canto 9 and 52. Sangam tyajeta mithunavartinam mumukshuhu सर्वात्मना विसृजेत बहिरिंद्रियाणि एकश्चरन् रहसि चित्तमनंत ईशे युञ्जीत तद्व्रतिषु साधुषु चेत् प्रसंगः। sangam tyajeta mithuna vratinam mumukshuhu sarvatmanana visujet bahirindriyani ekascharan rahasi chittamananta ishe युञ्जीत तद्व्रतिषु साधुषु चेत् प्रसंगः Ladies, please. Sangam, association. Tyajeta, must give up. Mithunavratinam, of a person engaged in sexual affairs, legal or illegal. Mumukshuhu, persons who desire liberation. Sarva Atmana, in all respects. Na, do not. Visrujet, employ. Bahi Indriyani, external senses. Ekaha, alone. Charan, moving. Rahasi, in a secluded place. Chittam, the heart. Ananta Ishe, fixed at the lotus feet of the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yunjita, one can engage himself. Tad vratishu, with persons of the same category, desiring liberation from material bondage. Sadhushu, such saintly persons. Chet, if. Prasangah, one wants association. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A person desiring liberation from material bondage must give up the association of persons interested in sex life and should not employ his senses externally in seeing, hearing, talking, walking, and so on. One should always stay in a secluded place, completely fixing his mind at the lotus feet of the unlimited personality of Godhead. And if one wants any association at all, he should associate with persons similarly engaged. Purport. Saubhari Muni, giving conclusions derived from his practical experience, instructs us that persons interested in crossing to the other side of the material ocean must give up the association of persons interested in sex life and accumulating money. This is also advised by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nishkinchanasya bhagavat bhajanon mukhasya param param jigamishor bhavasagarasya sandarshanam vishayinam atha yoshitam cha ha hanta hanta vishabhakshanato api asadhu. This is from Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. Alas, for a person seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord without material motives, seeing a materialist engaged in sense gratification and seeing a woman who is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking poison willingly. One who desires complete freedom from material bondage can engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He must not associate with Vishayi, materialistic persons, or those interested in sex life. Every materialist is interested in sex. Thus, in plain language, it is advised that an exalted saintly person avoid the association of those who are materially inclined. Srila Narottam Das Thakur also recommends that one engage in the service of the acharyas, and if one wants to live in association, he must live in the association of devotees. Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevasa. The Krishna consciousness movement is creating many centers just to create devotees, so that by associating with the members of such a center, people will automatically become uninterested in material affairs. Although this is an ambitious proposal, this association is proving effective by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By gradually associating with the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, simply by taking prasada and taking part in chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, ordinary persons are being considerably elevated. Saubhari Muni regrets that he had bad association even in the deepest part of the water. Because of the bad association of the sexually engaged fish, he fell down. A secluded place is also not secure unless there is good association. What a beautiful statement. No? A secluded place is also not secure unless there is good association. Text 52. In the beginning, I was alone and engaged in performing the austerities of mystic yoga. But later, because of the association of fish engaged in sex, I desired to marry. Then I became the husband of 50 wives, and in each of them I begot 100 sons. And thus my family increased to 5,000 members. By the influence of the modes of material nature, I became fallen and thought I would be happy in material life. Thus, there is no end to my material desires for enjoyment in this life and the next. Next one also doesn't have purport. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so I have three main points here. First of all, do we know why Saubhari Muni fell from his very exalted position? He offended a Vaishnava. Who did he offend? Garuda. One day, Garuda came to have lunch at the Yamuna river's salad bar. There were varieties of fish and he was taking them. Saubhari Muni was meditating on the banks of the river. Opened his eyes and he saw Garuda taking fish. And suddenly he felt obliged to protect the fish. And he chastised Garuda. If you again ever come here, I will curse you. Now Garuda is far more powerful than Saubhari Muni. He could have told him, forget it. I don't care, whatever you think. Because it was his, Saubhari Muni's pride. The best way to counteract someone's pride is one's own humility. Because when two prides meet, some of them have to have a bride. This is the mantra. When two prides meet, someone will have a bride. And Saubhari Muni situation happened like that. So when Saubhari Muni cursed him, he didn't challenge him, he just quietly left. But that was an offense. First of all, in the name of wanting to protect someone, one should be careful to understand not to interfere in the natural course of life. Now this is a very, very delicate thing. This was one of the questions Sthira raised the other day when I sent a text to everyone. How to know when to do something or not do something? And the answer is, one doesn't know. It's very difficult to know. And this is why action in Krishna consciousness is difficult. And what does Krishna say in the 4th chapter? Kim kurvata, kim akurvataha. What to do and what not to do. Kavayo api atra mohitaha. Kavaya means the great, learned, wise people. Even they are bewildered as to what's the right thing to do in a situation. It's very difficult to know. So Saubhari Muni cursed because he wanted to protect the fish. And it's the same fish that became the cause of his fall down. So this is a very tricky thing. That one may think, that they are, if it ever happens, that one has this sensibility that they know better and they are interfering in the natural course of things designed by Krishna, then the very thing that they are trying to interfere with becomes the cause of their fall down. And so here, he went to protect the fish, and he was meditating underwater. Now, this is not easy. How long can someone hold their breath underwater? Madhav Gauranga? 20 seconds. The expert swimmer, Michael Phelps. Let's give him a minute, 60 seconds, because it's very good. Saubhari Muni was underwater for 1,000 years, holding his breath. His skin must have become what is called waterlogged, all wrinkled, soaked in all the water. And for whatever reason, he opened his eyes and he saw two fish mating. Now, if you saw two young, attractive human beings mating, one can understand that it can excite something in someone's mind. Fish, they're not like attractive when they're doing their thing. But even fish could disturb his mind. I mean, it's like if you ever see fish mating, if you've seen Discovery Channel, it's like, whatever, what is it? Even regular practitioners like us, who don't have much, I shouldn't say us, me, who doesn't have enough spiritual strength, is not disturbed by fish mating in Discovery Channel. It's like, whatever. What's the big thing? This last weekend, the kids were watching something on Discovery. It was about the trout. It's unnecessary for you, but so trout is a fish that breeds and then moves like the salmon moves upstream for survival. So they showed the trouts mating. It was like, well, whatever. It's not even. So it didn't bother me at all. But Saubhari Muni, such a yogi, tapasvi, underwater for such a long time, it bothered his mind. Why? Because somewhere deep down, his yogic power could not counteract the offense to a devotee. So it made him vulnerable to the smallest and most insignificant means of disturbance. It's like opening a door and making oneself extremely exposed and vulnerable. That's the consequence of offending a Vaishnava. So that's one. Now, the second point is, although the purport is speaking about associating or not associating with worldly-minded people, and worldly-minded has two features: those who are interested in money and interested in sex. And therefore one should live either in a secluded place, but better to live with the devotees. I'm going to take a little different route, if you don't mind. In the process of initiation, Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes that everyone has to go through 5 samskaras. Samskara means a process of reformation. And there are 5 things. Pundram. Tapah pundram. Tapah pundram. Tatha nama mantra yagascha. These 5 things are essential for a person to develop bhakti in their heart. Because unless the existing clutter and dirt and darkness is removed, the light within cannot, the soul within cannot be awakened. So these 5 things are necessary. That is why Some people ask, is it necessary for initiation? Can I just chant Hare Krishna? The answer is no. At initiation, these 5 things foster and enable the soul to awaken to pure bhakti. So initiation is very important. So these are the 5 things. Tapaha pundram cha. Tapaha, some burning, some austerity. One should take up an austerity, some austerity. That's one, and I'll describe. Pundram. Pundram means, what is pundram? Vertical tilak marks. These are called urdhva pundraka, vertical tilak mark. Or in other words, adorning the body with the sacred names of Vishnu. Keshavaya Namaha, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, like that. I'll explain that too. Third is Namaha, a new name. Your name is such and such Das, such and such Dasi, Ki Jai, Nama. Mantra. The spiritual master has to give a mantra by which the dormant soul's consciousness is awakened. And Yaga. Yaga means worship, a deity. So let's go backwards, because the most critical one that I want to focus on is Tapa. So at initiation, the spiritual master gives the disciple these 5 things. Nama. Nama has 2 sides of the meaning. One is given a new name, and such Paramatma Das, Madhava Gauranga Das, like that. So the name of Krishna is uttered in the ear, and along with it, Dasa or Dasi is given, so that the person can now understand within one's name that I am a servant of Krishna. It's very important, because without service attitude, the soul cannot become awakened, right? Isn't that what Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Devotion? What's that verse? So if you come to class, I have to get everyone to wake up. So what's that verse? That our senses are blunt. Atasi Krishna namadina bhavet grahyam indriyar. Sevan mukhe hijivado. Sevan mukha, by the mood of service, only by the mode of service can Krishna reveal himself, or Krishna decides to reveal himself. So, name, mantra. Usually some mantra is given in different religious traditions and different Vaishnava traditions, different mantras are given. In the Sri Vaishnava, they get the 8-syllable mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya. In our tradition, we get 32-syllable mantra, because in our case, initiations are 2. Previously, there's only 1 initiation. Bhaktisiddhanta made it 2. But you get the 32-syllable mantra and the Gayatri mantra. Usually 18 syllables, whatever mantra. So mantra is given. Because without mantra, you can have everything else, but without mantra, there's no way to awaken bhakti in the heart. So nama, mantra, yaga. One is given the qualification, adhikari. Such and such initiation, they get a name, such and such adhikari. That means they're eligible to worship the deity form of Krishna. Usually it's the Shaligram or the deity. Because without deity worship as a supplement to chanting of Hare Krishna, people in general cannot awaken a personal concept of God. Although it's not the necessity, but it is the most important supplement. Therefore, in Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, we hear about the 9 processes of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. These three are the Bhagavat process. For Shravanam, Kirtanam and Smaranam, you don't need deity. But then the other six, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam, the deity worship facilitates all of that. Both are necessary. And then that purport Prabhupada explains. Bhagavat Marg, Pancharatrika Marg, and both are necessary together for the neophyte. Okay, so Yaga. Then Tapaha Pundram. So consecrating the body with the names of Vishnu or Krishna gives not only purity but the clarity of what the body is meant for. That's why we apply tilak in all 12 places, not just here and nowhere else, all parts of the body. It's very, very essential. So tapa, some burning, some tapasya must be taken to be qualified. Now if you see, even in a mundane sense, a teacher does not accept a student unless they exhibit some austerity. So in the case of any great person in their lives, we see without austerity, initiation doesn't come. It's not a cheap thing. So at initiation, in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they brand their disciples with the symbol of the conch and the symbol of the disc, chakra, shankha and chakra. They put it in hot fire. Psst, psst. Forever branded as Krishna's servant for that life. It's a reminder. So in our sampradaya, we don't brand. So there must be some tapasya, some austerity. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes that the austerity that an initiate takes on is regret, remorse. And that regret remorse has the power to burn previous bad deeds. No? You're shaking your head. Do you disagree? This is there in every tradition, especially Catholicism. You go to the confession. What is that called? Confession. Confection is candy. When you go to the confessional, you sit in front of the priest. Father, forgive me for I have sinned, blah, blah, blah. And then you say the whole thing. He says, oh, you're forgiven. Right? This is called paschatapa, regret or remorse. And you will notice, or we will notice, that in all great persons' lives, they exhibit this kind of regret for all the bad deeds that they have done previously. Saubhari Muni is expressing regret. So yesterday's verse, somewhere it should start with aho. Whenever you see in Sanskrit the word aho, that's an indicator that someone's lamenting, someone's regretting. So yesterday's verse, aho imam pashyata me vinasham. Oh, just see. So in today he says, he's regretting and giving description of his regret. So generally when we express regret, we say, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry is not sufficient. Here he's describing, there should be detail of specificity of what we are regretting about. So he's regretting, he's giving explanation. Oh, look at me. And then he's describing that I have given up good association and fell into the trap of bad association. And therefore, I haven't done the right thing. And you saw in Saubhari Muni's life what happened. When he saw the fish, he came out, walked up to King Mandhata, told him, I want to marry all your 50 daughters. Had 1,000 sons from each of them. 50,000 sons. Can you imagine their breakfast table? My gosh. So many people. How much khichdi they must have had to make, or how many fruits they might have to pluck. I mean, it's like every day cooking for some big festival. Who washed all the pots? Who gathered, who chopped all the vegetables? Who knows, right? And so, he's lamenting that he took on and his life went into a whole different direction. You know the story of the brahmachari who was instructed to study Bhagavad Gita? Oh, Giridhari. Okay. I like stories, so I'm going to narrate. There was you know the story, Irina? You don't know? You want to hear? Yeah, you can take brahmacharani also if you want, not just brahmachari. So there was a guru and he had a very sincere disciple. And the guru wanted to go on pilgrimage for a few years. But he thought that my disciple is very innocent. I need to give him some instruction that will protect him. So he told his disciple, my dear son, you should study Bhagavad Gita for 5 hours every day. It will protect you. Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yes. So he went. The disciple sat down. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And when he looked up, he had only 2 pairs of dhotis. One that he would wear and one that he would dry. So when he looked at the dhoti, in the corner there was a hole. And so his mind went to, there is a mouse in the ashram called Narahari. He said, there's a mouse. We need to do something about it. But he didn't know what to do because he couldn't see the mouse. He said, if I search for it, it'll take too much time. But his mind was disturbed about that mouse. So he had a grahastha friend. So he went to his friend and told him, you know, Guru Maharaj gave me this instruction and I need to follow it. But this mouse, if I don't pay attention, this mouse will start eating the dhoti more and more. And before I know, I won't have clothes to wear. You have any idea? So grahastha friend told him, what's the problem? It's very easy. You know, the enemy of the mouse is the cat. So go get a cat. Now the cat will take care of the mouse. And you can peacefully study. So that Prabhu went to Jitendra Prabhu, found out if he had some cats. And he got a cat. And he sat down to read. I said, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And the cat cried. I don't know how cats cry, but it cried. So I said, why is the cat crying? The cat went on crying. So he put the book down, went to his grahastha friend and he said, this cat won't stop. He's supposed to catch the mouse, but he's crying or she's crying. And the friend said, you're such a fool. Unless you feed the cat some milk, how will the cat do what it's supposed to do? So feed her some milk. Okay. So it's not like you go to a grocery store and get a can. You have to stand in line, wait for the cow to be milked and get some milk. And brahmachari means he has to request. No, there's no money. So he has to wait in line. His priority is later. So he waited and waited. Everyone got their milk. His turn came. He got some milk. He fed the cat. Now the cat was crying every day. Naturally, it's hungry every day. It's not like a one-time thing. So he's like, man, this is taking so much time to go to the barn and wait for the cow to be milked and get the milk, feed this cat, and then he'll run and find the mouse is too much. It's taking too much of my time. A friend said, that's because you don't know how to solve problems. Why go to the barn? Why don't you just get a cow? The cow will be right at home. You don't have to stand in line. Just milk the cow, feed the cat, she'll take care of the rat. Hey, excellent idea. So he brought the cow home. Sat down. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The cat cried and the cow also started crying. So he said, whoa, what's going on? So his friend said, come on. The cow will only give milk when you give it some grass to eat. Oh, that's true. So then his morning service was to take the cow for grazing. And cows graze for a while. Then he would bring home the cow, milk the cow, feed the cat, and hope the mouse will stay. This was becoming too much. So he went to his friend. I said, hey, this is a lot of work. Milking the cow is not easy. So his friend said, that's because you don't have anyone to help you. Best thing is get a wife. She'll take care of milking the cow, feeding the cow. She'll give the cat milk. You can peacefully study. Excellent idea. So then he took his photograph, wrote down his bio, and sent it out to shadi.com and whatever is the marriage bureau place. Then they came, looked at the boy, looked at the girl, they did the horoscope, all the fun stuff, and found a nice girl, got married. And he sat down, opened his book, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The cat cried, the cow cried, and the wife cried. So I said, why are you crying? She's like, all day I'm working, you don't take me out, you don't buy me anything. Today is Amazon Prime Day, you haven't shopped anything for me today. Black Friday, we didn't do anything, come on, you need something in the house. So I said, all right, let's go look for the sales. And he bought some furniture, this, that. Still the wife was not happy, he was not happy. So he asked his friend, come on, give me some advice. You're a married person. So that means you should never take advice from a married person. Okay? So he went to a married person and his friend and said, come on, I don't know how to keep my wife satisfied. I'm doing something wrong. He said, that's because, and this is the usual wrong grahastha advice, because your wife doesn't have sufficient engagement. So her mind is always disturbed. Best thing to do is to have some children. She'll be busy. Good idea. So in a matter of couple of years, a few children. The wife was busy. Because she was so busy, she couldn't milk the cow and feed the cow, so she was yelling at him. I have to do everything. You don't do anything. All day you're wanting to read books. What kind of husband are you? You guys are smiling because you don't know what happens like that. But anyway, so then it's like, oh man, what's going on? So a few years passed like that, and his Guru Maharaj came back. And when he came back, he had left the ashram in a particular way, nothing in the room. When he came back, he saw children's clothes hanging, a sari, hanging. There were toys in the front yard. And the Guru's like, whose house is this? This is not where I'd left my wonderful young disciple. He walks in and he's shocked to see the whole house, in the way it is. So he asked his disciple, what are you doing? He said, Guru Maharaj, I'm trying to fulfill your instruction of studying Bhagavad Gita. I just had to arrange a few things in life so I can study peacefully. So the point is, Shaubari Muni is regretting that his downfall came in such a way that he went ahead, 50,000 children, enjoyed like a king, that even King Mandhata, his father-in-law, came and felt embarrassed. Man, my son-in-law is richer than I am, and went back. And this guy is a sage, this guy is a king. He got so enveloped into sense gratification, material enjoyment. So now he is regretting it. A poor man regretting is not the same as a very rich man regretting. Because one who doesn't have anything, regretting is not so much thing. Like, I don't have anything. But a fellow who has a lot of wealth, if he loses it and he regrets it, or he is regretting the misuse of it, that's a different issue. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written many songs like that. Emona Durmati. You know that song? Emona Durmati Samsara Bhitore Podiya Archinu Ami. Tava Nija Jan Kono Mahajane Patainu Ami. This person came to help me. There was one great soul who's your servant, came to help me. But look at me, I am so enmeshed in the worldly situation. Or Narottam Das Thakur, recently we heard the song, Hari Hari Vifale Janama Gavainu. Manusha Janama Paya Radha Krishna Na Bhajiya Janiya Suniya Visha Khainu. So he says, Hari Hari, oh my Lord, oh Hari, Vifale Janma, my life has become completely fruitless, no meaning to my life. Gavainu, I wasted my life. Manusha Janma Paya, I have received the human form of life, yet Janiya Suniya, I've heard about the value of human life. I also know human life is very valuable. But knowingly, I have drank poison. Now, that doesn't mean one should not get married. Everyone should drink poison. I agree. Everyone. Because then otherwise, those who have drank it will become envious of those who have not drank it. And those who have not drank it will become envious and curious as to what is going on with the others. So everyone should drink poison. Okay? The point is not whether one should be married or not married. The point is one should not forget Krishna. And one should not become deviated from the purpose of life. And he is lamenting that he has become like that. So for all of us as initiated devotees or preparing for initiation, jokes aside, one should regularly, periodically look back at where we have come from. And prior to meeting the grace of Guru and the Vaishnavas, what kinds of things we were doing. Some of us were doing something very tamasic. Some of us did very rajasic. Someone may look back and say, I didn't eat meat, I didn't take drugs, I didn't drink alcohol, I did nice things, goodness. Still, it was distracting from the purpose of life. So one should regret that. And one should, as looking forward, be grateful for what one has received. The mercy of the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas and Krishna, the whole process of bhakti. So this is very, very important. This is the tapa that burns the previous samskaras. And now that he says, now that I have understood the value of the association of devotees, when I look back, the same thing is not tasteful anymore. And how do we know that? Because he's saying one should not take such association. Rather, one should take association of sadhus. He says, mumukshu. Mumukshu is the sadhushu chet prasanga. I should take association of those who are interested in liberation. And final point, it's a short one. Although this verse and purport speak about living a secluded life, not associating with materially motivated persons, we should not think that we should become hermits and become scared and live inside the ashram and not care for anyone outside. That's not our mandate. Our mandate is Prahlad Maharaj's prayers. Do you know that prayer? 7-9-42? 44, I think. That Prayena Munaya He says, almost all sages, Maunam Charanti, they take a vow of silence, because when you talk, you get involved in material conversations. Maunam Charanti, Vijane. Vijane means living secluded life without any other people. Maunam Charanti Vijane na parartha nishta. They are not interested in the salvation of others. They recede to the Himalayas. They recede to their ashram. They recede to their little hermitage and live there saying, whoa, I don't want to do anything with the world. Naitan vihaya kripana vimumuksha eko nanyam tadasta sharanam brahmato nupashye. And Prabhupada translates that Prahlad Maharaj is saying, but my dear Lord Nrsingadev, I want to be in the cities helping the fools and rascals who have forgotten that your lotus feet is the only shelter. So while it is true that we don't take materialistic association, it is also as much true that we not live like hermits. And that's the next part of the purport where Prabhupada says, that is why we have opened centers to provide such association, so that people who are materially motivated may come and become purified. That means there is a doorway for people who have that motivation to come in. Otherwise, we would not be here today. Any of us born without any materialistic association? Any material desire? Even after meeting the Guru, can I say for myself that I'm free of all material desire? Do I have lingering taste for something materialistic? Absolutely. But because of the grace of the spiritual master, at least I think about it twice. So, if someone did not encourage me and extend their arm to pull me out, I wouldn't be here. So we are obliged to do the same. And I'll end with this verse from Mukunda Mala Stotra. I've been reading it for some months now. There is a very similar verse written by Shankaracharya to Lord Nrsingadev. And Mukunda Mala Stotra is exactly the same words, except in the last, instead of Lakshmi Narasimha, he says Deva Deva to Krishna. And the verse goes something like this. Andhasya me hrita viveka mahadhanasya chorair prabho balibirindriya namadheye mohanda kupa kuhare vinipatitasya devesha deva maidehi karavalambam. And Shankaracharya says Lakshmi Narasimha mama dehi karavalambam. So here's what it means. Andhasya me, I have become blinded. What blinds a person? Ignorance. Or sense, the desire for sense gratification blinds us by ignorance. Hrita viveka, my discrimination has been stolen. Hrita viveka, I've lost it. I've lost my discriminatory power. I've become blind. Mahadhanasya, I have lost my greatest wealth. What is our greatest wealth? Relationship with Krishna. Chorair, there is some thieves in my house. Those thieves have stolen my discriminatory power and plunged me in darkness, and I lost my wealth. Chorair balibhir, the very strong thieves, and they have some name. I know them thieves, I know them by name. They are called Indriya, my senses. They are the very powerful thieves that have stolen my intelligence and blinded me and stolen my wealth. And Mohand Kupa Kuhare. And they've pushed me into a very deep, dark well of illusion. And now I'm crying, "Oh Lord Krishna, please extend your arm and pull me out." The word Karavalambam, Kara is hand, no? Karatal. Karavalambam means to elongate or extend one's hand. So he's saying, "Oh my Lord, please extend your hand and pull me out of this dark well." What a beautiful verse. That's a verse of regret or repent. And it's a very, very important aspect of devotional life. On the one hand, as we are glorifying Krishna, regularly, periodically, we review. We take stock of all the things we have done and we regret for it. That regret is the power or the force that keeps us going in our Krishna consciousness. That's what Saubhari Muni is doing. Because after this verse, couple of verses later, he's going back to the spiritual world. Along with his 50 wives. Anyway, so that's what I have to say. Any comments, Subal Prabhu?
So, Saubhari Muni was
not sober. Saubhari Muni was not sober.
Yes. He was regretful, but in his regret, he recognized that the wrong was his association with, fish, or he made it as a principle, the principle of just that, the principle of enjoying, sex life and material, the whole thing. He didn't recognize the actual cause of his fallen condition, which was the offense to Garuda. And it was when now that you give a little more details of the offense, and you can understand that the offense that is really you have to be a little out there to go as far as offend Garuda, who is a very intimate associate of Lord Vishnu.
Right.
So question Garuda's activities. He didn't recognize that, and and it doesn't look like even to through the narration that he goes and recognizes that. He recognized a principle. He even recognized a principle of association with great personalities.
Right.
And here he doesn't recognize that in that association, having the association of Garuda, he didn't acted how you're supposed to act in the association of great personalities.
It is indirectly there, it's not directly there. In our case, yes, specificity is necessary. In this case, it's not, at least Shukadeva Goswami doesn't narrate the specifics of it. He narrates what Saubhari Muni thought. And I'm very sure he thought more than 4 verses, but it's not there. It's there indirectly, it's hinted indirectly. And it's hinted in this verse. He says, Sadhushu Chet Prasangaha, the last one, that one should take proper association of the devotees. So the regret, one can say it's indirect, and that regret that instead of taking Garuda's association, or that he didn't take the opportunity for association. He was in his own thing. So the regret is having lost an opportunity. So we also lose many opportunities. In this case, he is hinting at it. He doesn't explicitly say it. At least that's my understanding. He's hinting at it. He doesn't explicitly say, yes, it's not there. Oh, I offended Garuda, I should. Because it is there somewhere, we should understand. Because next few verses he says, he became very detached and went back to the spiritual world.
Right.
So one cannot go back to the spiritual world, one cannot be relieved of the offense unless they fix it, right?
Right.
So somewhere it got fixed. That means either explicitly or implicitly that's there. That, oh, I lost the opportunity for great association. Instead of that, I did something else.
Right. Especially, right, this is right after the narrations of Durvasa Muni offending Maharaj Ambarish, so it's implicit, you know.
So it's not explicitly spoken, but it's implicitly there that I lost the opportunity.
Thank you.
So like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Gopinath, Mama Nivedana Suno. A beautiful song, Gopinath song. So it says, I have engaged myself in all sorts of activities, Durjana, Vishayi Durjana, etc., etc. And so he's just going through a list. Bhaktivinoda Thakur shows us far more explicitly how to go about it. Shabari Muni is perhaps more implicit. Otherwise, it would not have the same effect of he going back to Godhead or becoming spiritually elevated. It would not work. Yes, Tira.
How does one fix one's offenses? Like you're saying, somewhere in the course of time, his offenses got fixed. That is why he went back home, back to Godhead. So, we sometimes, I don't even know what offenses I make. So how do they get fixed?
Well, Rasika Manjari and I had like a short conversation on this recently. I've been thinking about it. I don't think I have a fully completed or baked answer, but here's how far I've gotten. Many times, in the course of our speaking or doing, we're not aware of what we are saying and doing. And sometimes, by the grace of Krishna, we get an opportunity for what's called a or a alas, aho moment. Either because the other person responds or reacts in a particular way, or it pains us in the heart, whatever. And in some cases, it may be obvious to others except one person, and that is us. It's not obvious to us. So we need to take some time regularly, periodically, for what's called introspection, and go through different circumstances, conversations, situations, and re-examine all of those from our new learning. When our learning is here, our behavior is, actually our learning is here, our behavior is here. So when our learning grows, we also hope that our behavior becomes better, because there's always a gap between learning and behavior. Only in pure devotees, learning and behavior are matched, what we call ideal and real. We speak ideal, but we behave real. And the goal of life is to close that gap. So as our learning increases, because we revisit this topic, something or the other, we read something, we heard something, it's good to go back certain situations, certain relationships, people, just visit and scan through. And pray to Krishna, because unless Krishna's grace in that moment comes in, even if we just go through the mental exercise of scanning, we may not find something. There are many diseases, even if people do CAT scan, PET scan, you don't notice the disease unless it comes to a point where suddenly like, hey, how come we scanned last time, it was not there, but it's there now. Some grace is necessary. So we pray for that grace. And in the meantime, we pray for that grace by offering vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha. It's our method of calling for Krishna's grace, because otherwise we offer vancha kalpa every day, which is nice. But does it completely remove? Yeah, it has the potency, but the grace of Krishna needs to come. So it depends on how sincerely we say it, and along with it, some insight into, hey, in that situation, things could have been said and done differently. So it's like driving. While we are driving, we're always looking forward at the street, the lights, and who else is driving. But we also regularly glance at the rear view mirror. We never drive saying, today I will not look at the rear view mirror at all. We keep looking. Who's behind? Where have I come from? What's the street? It's just how we glance on the side mirrors, rear view mirror. So as going forward, we constantly look at our rear view. It's part of moving forward. So we pray to Krishna. I'm in whatever condition I'm in. If there are some things that are obvious, that's not obvious to me, it's obvious to you, Krishna, please help me. Please reveal to me if you like. That's the method I would be inspired by. Just some scanning and visiting. If the genuine thing is not in the heart, I can go back and say, oh, I'm very sorry, blah, 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 and feel the relief from, that thing was nagging in my brain, now I'm free of it. But the tendency won't go. We may repeat the same somewhere else. That's all I have so far. I still am working with it. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.